Tupac was an extraordinary figure. And his obsession with death, with God, somebody help me, tell me where to go from here. Because even thugs cry, but do the Lord care? I mean, he was hollering, shouting, begging for intervention. Even as he rushed toward the grave, he was begging for somebody to put the brakes on him. And I think that his own recklessness, his own genius, his own embrace of the abyss, even as he sought to elevate those who were caught in its ugly grasp, makes him the defining figure of his generation.
Out of the love for black people. So that's how I gotta live, and that's how I have to die. And that's how my music has to be, and my acting, and my producing, and my interviews, everything has to be for the love of black people.
Born June 16, 1971, in the East Harlem section of Manhattan, the same parish Crooks was renamed just before his first birthday after Tupac Amaru, an 18th century South American revolutionary who was executed after leading an uprising against Spanish rule.
Tupac, it's me determined to overcome my obstacles.
This renaming comes as no surprise when you learn that his parents, Afeni Shakur and Billy Garland, were revolutionaries themselves as active members of the Black Panther Party in New York. The Black Panthers, set up by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale in 1966, challenged police brutality against the African-American community in the United States.
And the police are there not to, in our community, not to promote our welfare or for our security and our safety, but they're there to contain us, to brutalize us and murder us. We would patrol the community. If we saw the police brutalize anyone, we would put an end to this. Usually the police wouldn't brutalize anyone if we were on hand, because we arrested the individual, we follow him to the jail and bail the individual out.
Born in the wake of the assassination of Black nationalist Malcolm X, and also in response to police in San Francisco shooting and killing an unarmed Black teen, Matthew Johnson, the Black Panther Party sought to defend and provide services to Black communities.
All power to the people! All power to the people is becoming a reality because the people have come out here to stand for ours.
At its peak in 1968, it numbered around 2,000 active members.
So when the Panthers hit, the government panicked, and they had a thing called a COINTELPRO, and they felt like the Panthers were detrimental to American society, so they raided every Panthers house, especially the ones who they felt like could do the most damage as an orator. So my mother was 7 months pregnant. They put a match to the door and said, "Fire, fire." And it's like 5 in the morning, so my mother opened the door and they just burst in, put a shotgun to her pregnant belly, and put a gun to her head and said, "Don't move, bye, bye, bye. They said, you're under arrest."
Just a month before Tupac's birth, his mother, Afeni, was tried in New York City as part of the Panther 21 criminal trial. 21 Black Panther members were arrested and accused of planned, coordinated bombing and long-range rifle attacks on 2 police stations and an education office in New York City.
So you were right in the middle of the storm. Early on.
I'm still in the storm. As a matter of fact, my mother was in a book. There's a book about my mother called "Look for Me in the Whirlwind." And I like to think that's my motto.
Eventually, the trial collapsed, and all 21 were acquitted of all charges. Just 1 month after his mother was freed, Tupac Shakur was born. He would go on to be a revolutionary in his own way, changing the landscape of music with the intensity of his hip-hop lyrics about the harsh realities of life for so many. At first, Tupac resented his mother, She was involved with the movement and was never available for her child, as she was giving talks, visiting colleges, and rallies. He said that he always felt like she cared more for the people than her people. Not knowing whom his father was for certain when he was growing up was difficult, though his stepfather, Tupac Shakur, treated him as his own child. However, his stepfather was a gangster whom Tupac has described as a straight-up street hustler. In fact, Tupac spent a great deal of time as a young boy in the company of people convicted of serious criminal offenses. Taking to the stage for the first time in 1984, the young teen took part in a fundraiser at the Apollo Theater for presidential candidate Jesse Jackson.
I did a play at the Apollo Theater for Jesse Jackson when he was running for president. It was for his campaign.
Was this always kind of an ambition of yours? Did you have the show business bug as a youngster?
I mean, I caught it then, but at the time, it just seemed like the fun thing to do, because I was 13, but I caught the bug when I got on stage and all those people was clapping, so that's when I got it. But really, I just enjoy expressing myself. Anytime I can express myself, I can let some of the pain go from a childhood like mine, so that's why I enjoy the acting.
The move to Baltimore, Maryland happened in the same year when Tupac's mother lost her job. After 2 years at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, there was a welcome transfer to the Baltimore School of Arts, where acting, ballet, poetry, and jazz were on offer to the creative teenager who often performed in Shakespeare plays, depicting the timeless themes of power, politics, violence, and love he had seen firsthand in his early years. The School for Arts opened up Tupac to a range of music, including U2, Kate Bush, Culture Club. Tupac was a popular student at Baltimore Arts, known for his humor and ability to mix with everyone. He was befriended by Jada Pinkett, later to become an actress herself, and she described him as one of my best friends. He was like a brother. It was beyond friendship for us. The type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime. His mother moved again into Marin City, California, just north of San Francisco. Tupac thought that by moving away from Baltimore, he would be leaving behind a life of poverty in a neighborhood riddled with crime. But California proved to be even worse. He said that the poverty he encountered in his early years helped him relate to so many people. And it was here that his mother, Afeni, succumbed to crack addiction. Tupac said that he and his mother went through many stages in their relationship. At first, it was mother and son, then drill sergeant and cadet. Then, it was like a dictator and a tiny country. With his mother's crack addiction hard to bear, it finally became too much and he moved out. The fact that he was on his own, broke, and with nowhere to stay meant that he fell in with bad company. Smoking weed, staying with drug dealers, criminals, and pimps, naively believing that they cared about his welfare. A love of hip-hop music would steer him away from a life of crime. At 17, in the spring of 1989, he met Layla Steinberg in a park. They struck up a conversation about Winnie Mandela. At the time, Tupac was obsessively writing poetry and convinced Steinberg, who had no music industry experience, to become his manager. Steinberg eventually agreed, and in 1989, Atron Gregory met Tupac through Steinberg and immediately signed him to TNT Records. Gregory thought that he was an energetic, humble, and smart guy that had incredible stories through his lyrics. The production company was trying to get Tupac a record deal, and with the group Digital Underground also signed to TNT, Gregory went to the band's frontman, Shock G, and asked him if Tupac would come on the road. Shock agreed, but he would only be able to do some background rapping, carry some of the equipment. A blow to his ego? Maybe, but as the band toured, each big Coliseum show always had an in-town club after party. It was here where Pac started making his name and his presence known throughout the United States. In the summer of '91, a new record company, Interscope, were looking for up-and-coming hip-hop artists. In a stroke of good luck, the daughter of the multimillionaire who founded the company, Ted Feild, had heard his demo and loved it. So, in August '91, Tupac signed the Interscope deal. Ironically, he signed before any of his bandmates from Digital Underground made any solo deals. Whilst living in Oakland, Tupac recorded his first album, Tupacalypse Now, featuring the singles Brenda's Got a Baby and Trapped. He went from being an unknown to having a platinum-selling record. The album traces a story of a young black male from start to finish. Teenage pregnancy, poverty, drugs, police brutality, but it also draws on his personal problems. Hoping that his work and the messages conveyed through the album would create change, he compared this to how the images and reports from the Vietnam War spread awareness and ultimately ended the war when they did. He said, "We just thought they were dying in some beautiful way, but because we saw the horror, that's what made us stop the Vietnam War." That is what he wanted to do as a rapper, highlighting and depicting graphic details of what he saw, hoping that this would ignite change. With the thrill of his first record appearing on MTV, a shocking incident occurred when Tupac was beaten in the head very badly.
Basically, I walked across the street, 17th and Broadway. The police officer stopped me on the sidewalk and asked to see my ID. They sweated me about my name. The officers said, "You have to learn your place." They were charging me with jaywalking, so I was riffing, arguing about why would they charge me with such a petty crime. So I kept yelling, asking them to give me my citation and let me go about my business. Next thing I know, my face was being buried into the concrete and I was laying face down in the gutter, waking up from being unconscious in cuffs with blood on my face. And I'm going to jail for resisting arrest. That's harassment to me, that I have to be stopped in the middle of the street and checked, like we're in South Africa, and asked for my ID. Officer Boyvik repeatedly slammed my face into the floor while Rogers put the cuffs on me. That's not called for jaywalking.
He had a $10 million lawsuit, which they said they would settle, but Tupac said that nobody cared. What people did care about was what blew up over the news. At the time, he compared his situation to that of Rodney King, an African-American author and activist. He was still fighting his case after being beaten by LAPD officers after a high-speed chase. What was different about King's case is that an uninvolved individual filmed the police brutality incident, which was then covered by news media worldwide. Tupac's incident did not have such hard proof. It was a traumatic experience, but it was a rite of passage for him. Pac came from a family where police had killed people close to him. After the Oakland police had beaten him, he changed. He settled for $42,000 because he was tired of being in court, knowing he could have got more money, but settling for it to be over. After complaining that he was misunderstood, Tupac remarked, "Everything in life is not all beautiful. There is lots of killing and drugs. To me, a perfect album talks about the hard stuff and the fun and caring stuff. The thing that bothers me is that it seems like a lot of the sensitive stuff I write just goes unnoticed." Tupacalypse Now did not generate any top 10 hits. However, it is hailed by many critics and fans for its underground feel, with many rappers such as Nas and Eminem having referred to as inspiration. Throughout 13 tracks, Tupac captures the plight of the black individual in an era marked by Reaganomics and the 80s crack epidemic, highlighting the oppression, anger, and the reality of a world that, unfortunately, does not feel all that much different from the current climate. Brenda's Got a Baby is a compelling track from the album, this time telling the true story of a 12-year-old girl who tries to dispose of her baby after being impregnated by a family member, who then tragically becomes a prostitute and finally a murder victim. The music video opens with a title card based on a true story, which immediately draws the viewer into the unfairness of the world Tupac portrays.
Here, Brenda's got a baby, but Brenda's barely got a brain. A damn shame, the girl can hardly spell her name. That's not our problem, that's up to Brenda's family. Well, let me show you how it affects our whole community. Now, Brenda really never knew her moms, and her dad was a junkie putting death into his arms. It's sad, cause I bet Brenda doesn't even know. Just cause you're in the ghetto doesn't mean you can't grow. But oh, that's a thought, my own revelation. Do whatever it takes to resist the temptation. Brenda got herself a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was a cousin, now let's watch the joy. And she tried to hide her pregnancy.
Naturally, such themes weren't without controversy. The clearest example stemmed from Soulja Story, which tells the tale of a young black man who shoots a police officer in retaliation for his marginalized place in society. In April of 1992, Ronald Howard fatally shot a state trooper in Texas after he was pulled over for driving a stolen vehicle. Howard's attorney cited Tupac's Soulja Story as his influence to shoot. Howard was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death. Later that September, then Vice President Dan Quayle demanded that Interscope Records remove the album from retail shelves, describing it as an irresponsible corporate act, and adding that there is absolutely no reason for a record like this to be published. It had no place in our society. Interscope never pulled it, and while the album was its least commercially successful, it still became certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America. Life changed for Tupac when he auditioned for Juice. In the movie, Tupac plays the part of Bishop, whom he describes as a psychopath, but he is also just a misguided, lonely young kid. Tupac could relate to his character. He said during filming, he just let himself go. He stopped caring and worrying about what people thought. In turn, he portrayed the character to a point where he felt as though nothing was fake. He took everything in his life and internalized it. He said that the character of Juice helped him. It allowed him to feel trust and let him trust his instincts. Poetic Justice, the second film Tupac starred in, was where he really had to act. The character Lucky was caring, hardworking, and responsible, a complete reversal to his previous role as Bishop.
Lucky is a responsible father, committed father, trying to deal with some pain from the past and trying to get through daily survival in South Central Los Angeles. Anytime it's a role for a young black man that deals with pain, that's my role. I'm made for that role. So Lucky, as well as the last role I did, Bishop, they both fit me perfectly.
Tupac's second album arrived in February 1993. It was a critical and commercial advance and a stark departure from the violence found on his debut studio album. The album produced Pac's first set of mainstream hits. Keep Your Head Up is considered one of the best rap tracks of all time. Grounded by a sample from the Five Stair Steps 1970 track, Ooh Child, Tupac's sentimental remake, Things Are Gonna Get Easier, remains rap's hallmark ode to black women.
First one, the first line. So say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots. I give all to my sister's own welfare. Tupac kids, and don't nobody else care. And check, I know they like to beat you down a lot, and when you come around the block, brothers clown a lot. But please, don't cry, dry your eyes, never let up. Forgive, but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't believe him. And if he can't learn to love you, you should leave him. Cause sister, you don't need him. And I ain't trying to gash up, I just call it how I see it. You know what makes me unhappy? When brothers make babies and leave a young mother to be a pet. Now since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from a woman, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time we kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. Because if we don't have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So we're the real G's. Get up. I know you fed up, ladies. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Ooh, child. Things are gonna get easy. Keep your head up. Ooh, child. Things will get brighter. Keep your head up. Ooh, child. Things are gonna get easy. Keep your head up. Ooh, child. Things will get brighter. Hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough.
At the age of 22, Tupac's popularity had reached new heights. Describing this feeling as being like a deer caught in the headlights, he felt the pressure of so many young people hanging on his every word.
People love to, have mercy and sympathy for everything, from the animals to the whales to fur to everything except us, your youth, the ones who you've had given no attention to, who become adults with no compassion, you know what I mean? And I feel like if you walk by a street and you was walking on concrete and you saw a rose growing out of concrete, even if it had messed up petals and it was a little, to the side, you would marvel at just seeing a rose grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rose, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of that.
Thug life was a term he had coined to describe a new kind of black power. The term thug did not mean criminal. It meant the underdog. He described it as the person who has nothing, yet succeeds. They are a thug. They overcome all of life's obstacles.
Thuglife. The hate you gave little infant, CK, everybody. Meaning, what you feed us as seeds grows and blows up in your face. That's thug life.
Names like Tupac Shakur, Flavor Flav, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Reverend Calvin Butts is leading a crusade against violent rap from his pulpit in Harlem.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those thugs.
Yes, I am gonna say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter and I'm still here. I'm not saying I'm a thug because I want to rob you and rape people and things. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman because you find me at my places of business. You don't find me up in you know what I'm saying? I don't understand this. I don't understand. What do you think?
He said that he had people in the penitentiary, big-time OG criminals, calling him, telling him they wanted to lead their movement. He felt as though his power was getting out of control. The fans were more than fans. They were devoted followers. They would do anything he said, and this scared him. At the Truce Picnic in Watts, California, Tupac was instrumental in getting rival members of the Crips and Blood gangs to sign the Code of Thug Life, which details do's and don'ts for being a righteous thug and man. It was written by Tupac, together with his stepfather, Tupac Shakur, and with the help of some original gangsters. This code was his way of maintaining some control within his devoted following, who may have interpreted thug more literally.
People that are not involved with the street gang, with the drug trade, or the illegal business at all, all that kidnapping and shooting drive-bys out the car, we're against that. And people who perpetrate that, they have to deal with the consequences when they go to jail, because that's who's gonna enforce this code and the thug life that's on the street. It's like we cleaning up the dirt. I can't change the dirt that's here, but I can put all this dirt in one corner. You know what I'm saying? Somehow have some order here. And for that, they need to give me a little leg room. You know what I'm saying? Let me do what I want to do, because nobody else is gonna do it. Nobody else wants to do it.
Undeniably, words would often get Tupac in trouble. Lyrically, he felt like he would and could not hold back on what he wanted to say. If he tried to police this free flow, it would give him writer's block. As he was young and still relatively new in the media spotlight, he did not always think before he spoke in interviews. One example of this is when Tupac appeared on TV to explain his side of the story as to why he was fired from a movie. It all stemmed from when the Hughes brothers took Tupac to court after he assaulted them during a music video shoot they were directing. The show's host, Ed Lover, attempted to cover his mouth so that Tupac did not dig an even deeper hole, but it was too late.
I beat up the directors, the ministers aside. Let me tell the whole world.
All right, tell them how you did what you had to do.
These chump, punk, slump, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, you'll have a chance to come here and rebuttal.
No, they won't. They better come now. Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way. So I caught them on the streets and beat they behind. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I was a menace to the Hughes brothers. And it ain't over. I still got more than chump boxes. I read what you said about jump to the TV. Kick that to the TV. Kick that to the TV.
The Hughes brothers used the MTV footage in court to help get Tupac convicted of assault. He served 15 days in jail. Trouble did not stop there. Tupac and 3 other men were charged in New York with sexually assaulting a woman in a hotel room.
Hi, Tupac. How you doing? Can you tell me how you doing today?
Well, I just had to listen to the prosecution's closing argument, and it was just so far from the truth that it really just has me drained at the end of the day. But I'm leaving it in the hands of the jury. I'm learning a lot about people's innermost fears in this trial, because it's not even about my trial no more. It's just about loud rap music, tattoo having thugs. It's not even about me no more. It's about, some nightmare that these people having.
She's talking about thug life and all that, trying to...
He's definitely guilty. Anybody with thug life tattooed on their stomach is guilty. What type of reasoning is that? You know what I'm saying? We got different backgrounds. We come from 2 different places. Just because I look different than her doesn't mean that I'm a sodomizer or a raper. They've said it in the... I can't understand why it's this close. They talking about there's no evidence that I ever sodomized her, even though you put that all over the paper. And every time they take a quote out of this courtroom, they take a quote from out of her mouth, which is, the stuff to put me in jail. It's nothing that's been true. I just want print the facts so everybody can sort it out. My life is ruined because nobody has a chance to get the facts.
And the fact is that there was no semen found.
No semen found, no forcible entry, no entry into the anal, no nothing, none of that.
And no fingerprints on the gun.
No fingerprints on the guns, you know what I'm saying? The only time ever there was an act of sodomy, she admitted she did it to me. I should be, putting charges on this girl who sodomized me on the floor of a dance club. Why am I in court? You know what I'm saying? Get my life ripped apart. But I'm here, I'm gonna go through it just to show that I have faith in the American system. But for me to have faith in the American system, these juries and everybody else has to, play the same role and to keep an open mind. I'm already convicted. My whole life has been turned around. I lost every job, I lost everything, every opportunity. I can't get buy cars, can't get rent, can't get none of that. But I'm still a survivor, I'm still coming to court, still smiling, still signing autographs. But soon I'm gonna go crazy, you know what I'm saying? And it's up to the world, America eats its babies. No matter what y'all think about me, I'm still your child, you know what I'm saying? You can't just turn me off like that.
How old are you, 23?
23.
So you feel that your career is...
Yeah, it is. Why would I own a gun? I've registered guns. You know what I'm saying? I'm a legal owner of guns.
In California.
California. So I came to New York and wanted to be an illegal gun runner now. That's what they want you to believe. I want to start erasing... What? Come on, man. This is all about my image. This has nothing to do with me. This is all about my image. It's like MTV, all the papers, they building me up. Now they destroying me on the same image that they perpetuated. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling records. This is what I do for a living. I'm selling records. Don't get it twisted. This is not my real life. This is not how my real life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be really having all these villains in my life.
He was released on $50,000 bail, but on the night of November 30th, 1994, the day before the verdict and the trial was to be announced, Tupac was shot 5 times, twice in the head, twice in the groin area, and the most serious wound, a gunshot through his hand, hitting an artery in his thigh.
Shakur was apparently attacked by robbers as he and 3 other men arrived at a New York City recording studio early this morning. A man identified as Shakur's manager was also wounded. Shakur and his road manager are currently on trial on sex abuse charges.
Checking himself out of Bellevue Hospital against the doctor's orders, Tupac claimed that he did not feel safe there. It was his time to leave. Unsolicited phone calls fueled his paranoia, and he couldn't sleep. Tupac felt like a prisoner to fame, and even said he wanted to die at this point.
Shakur was found guilty of sexually abusing a woman last November in a New York hotel room. The jury acquitted him of more serious charges, sodomy and illegal carrying a weapon. Shakur, who was shot 5 times Wednesday during an apparent robbery attempt, was not in the courtroom when the verdict was read.
He was attacked whilst entering the lobby of Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan and also robbed by 2 armed men in army fatigues. He would later accuse fellow recording artists Sean Combs, Andre Harrell, and Biggie Smalls, whom he saw after the shooting, of setting him up. Also suspected of being involved in the Iraq was his close friend and associate, Randy Stretch Walker. In his defense, Biggie said that they were in the recording studio and did not know Tupac would be there. Once they heard he was downstairs, Lil C's went to get him, but returned with the news that he had just been shot. When Biggie's entourage went downstairs to investigate, Tupac was being taken out on a stretcher, still conscious and giving the finger to those around.
I'm not guilty. People should look me in my eyes. They should look me in my eyes. And anybody that thinks I committed that rape should go get Brenda's Got a Baby and keep your head up and listen to him thoroughly. I have no patience for anybody that doubts me. None at all. It's too hard out here. You know what I'm saying? If my people don't stand up for me, who is? I understand these white folks looking at me like that because they don't know me. They didn't hear keep your head up. That ain't no fluke. You know, keep your head up ain't no goddamn come up. I didn't do that for to be smiling in my face to say, oh, he's cool. I did that from my heart. So that if they do try to put a rape charge on me, my sisters could say he ain't about that. Now, if my sisters can't say that, you won't hear another keep your head up out my mouth. I could not be here breathing and be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. You know, nobody could be around me. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that once everybody take the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised.
Drawing lyrical inspiration from the impending prison sentence, poverty, and troubles with the police, Me Against the World is described as Tupac's most introspective album, his magnum opus. The album hit the shelves whilst he was still in prison. It helped shift his image from that of a gangster rapper to more of a gangster poet. The album crafts a world, equal parts truth and fiction, that features a collection of news broadcasts that recount court drama, shootings, robberies, and the media storm that followed. There are soft, reflective moments where he becomes a street poet who wants to elevate his community and the women in it, as on Dear Mama, where Tupac empathizes with the difficulties his mother had raising him. He details his childhood poverty and his mother's addiction to crack cocaine, but argues that his love and deep respect for his mother supersede bad memories. In 1990, realizing her habit was out of control, she enrolled in a 12-step program at a drug and alcohol treatment center and reconciled with her son, who was at this point a successful recording artist. The Dear Mama video features an appearance from Afeni. She reenacts her reconciliation with the look-alike of her son, as Tupac himself was serving his prison sentence at the time. Whilst in prison, his album quickly climbed the charts, and the video struck a chord with many.
And even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was the black queen, mama. I finally understand for a woman it ain't easy trying to raise a man. You always was committed, a poor single mother on welfare. Tell me how you did it, there's no way I can pay you back. But the plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it. Don't you know we love you, sweet dear mama. Place no one above you, sweet. You all appreciate it. Don't you know we love you.
With a $1.4 million bond posted by Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records, in October 1995, Tupac was released from Clinton Correctional Facility. Freedom brought creativity, and within 2 weeks, he had recorded 24 tracks, saying that it was the best way to vent instead of paying some psychotherapist $50 million. California Love was released as Tupac's comeback single. It was one of his most widely known and most successful singles, reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 weeks. Longtime friend, actress Jada Pinkett, came up with the concept inspired by the 1985 film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The video takes place in a desert in 2095 and was Tupac's most innovative video to date.
Fresh out of jail, California dreaming. Soon as I step on the scene, I'm hearing hoochie screaming, fiending for money and alcohol, the life of a West Side player with cowards die in a strong ball. Only in Cali will we riot, not rally to live and die. In LA we wear chucks, not valleys. Yeah, that's right. Dressed in locs and khaki suits and ride is what we do. Flossing but have caution, we collide with other crews. Famous because we throw drams. Worldwide, let them recognize from Long Beach to Rosecrans. Bumping and grinding like a slow jam. It's West Side, so you know the road will bow down.
His release from prison seemed almost like a rebirth for Tupac's creativity. Up to that point, he'd mostly been an insular artist with ideas and thoughts aimed in specific directions. California Love gave him the stellar widescreen treatment that the Notorious B.I.G. would get later. It was just a glimpse of what he might achieve as a rap superstar.
Hip-hop need to stay true to the streets. Rap could do whatever it got to do to make money, just stay alive. Right. But hip-hop got to stay true to the streets. Keep your head up, you know, don't give up.
How I became Tupac's bodyguard, I was working security at Club 662. I got a phone call from Reggie earlier that day, and he said, hey, Suge wants to talk to you. I think that we got a proposition for you. And I go, what is it? What is it? And he goes, I'll talk to you when I get there. And I was like, no, what is it? He goes, it's concerning Tupac. They got there that night for 662, and Pac rolled up with Suge. And I went and greeted him, and I opened up the door to let him out. He was like, yo, Big Frank, you here, man? You here? I was like, no, man, what's up? He goes, man, you're gonna be my bodyguard, man. I chose you to be my bodyguard. I was like, oh, cool, man, right? I had no idea prior to that until he actually had told me. I had the idea of what Reggie had told me, that I was going to be working with Tupac, but I didn't know I was going to be his main security. As he explained it to me, I want to be his main security. Right after that, we did the fight in Vegas. And they performed and everything that night. We went back to LA after that weekend, and immediately after going back to LA that Monday, I was assigned to Tupac. From that moment on, it was Pac and I. You know, everywhere he went, I was with him. And we were rolling. Picture us rolling.
With Suge Knight of Death Row Records being one of the most powerful, feared men in the music industry and a central figure in gangster rap's catapult to massive commercialization, Tupac's new contract wasn't just about music. It also marked his acceptance into Suge's powerful group, known to have a strong gang affiliation. West Coast, East Coast rivalry was gearing up, just as Tupac was released from jail. The East Coast was Bad Boy, and the West was Death Row. As with everything, business profit in terms of sales mattered, and so popularity of the artist and how many records they sold was key. New York City was the birthplace of hip-hop, and artists from LA felt they weren't given the same media coverage and public attention as those on the East Coast. But for Tupac, it was more personal than this. Being from the East Coast, Tupac's allegiance was there, and he was not pleased with West Coast rappers like Diddy and Biggie, whom he felt wanted to dirty up everything he had worked for. So, he turned up the heat with music videos, satirizing the ongoing feud. In an interview with Vibe magazine, Tupac said some very provocative things about P. Diddy and Biggie. He claimed that Big knew he was getting set up when he was shot and failed to warn him. Now he was involved with Suge Knight in Death Row, and the situation became a complete other thing, a war with blood split and threats made. It started at the Source Awards in New York. Knight flew in a lot of people from Death Row. They got booed when they were coming up for their awards. Suge Knight's famous remarks that night became the first real shots in a deadly battle.
I'd like to tell Tupac to keep his guards up. We ride with him. And one other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
In a provocative move, Tupac made a song with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife. Shortly after, he wrote the song Hit 'Em Up, a classic battle record. It played a major role in exacerbating the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. He also used the song as a platform to express his belief that Biggie was guilty of stealing his style of rapping and was merely imitating his lifestyle. In the original recording, Tupac also insulted Jay-Z in the end segment, but removed it after being convinced by Outlaw's members that Carter had nothing to do with the conflict between Death Row and Bad Boy. The music video features actors recalled from prior roles in his music videos to impersonate some of those who were attacked in the song.
I ain't got no motherfucker, so I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West Side, Bad Boy Killers, you know who the realest is, niggas, we bring it to you. First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life. Plus, Puffy tryna see me weak, hearts I rip. Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia, some mark-ass bitches. We keep on coming while we running for your Jews. Steady gunning, keep on busting at the fools.
The War of Words rivalry took a deadly turn on September 7th, 1996. The MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas was the venue for a Mike Tyson boxing bout Tupac was watching. On the way out in the casino lobby, Tupac and his bodyguards got into a fight with one Orlando Anderson, a member of the New York Crips, which would have deadly repercussions.
Prior to the day that Tupac was shot on September the 7th, I arrived in Las Vegas September the 6th, the day before. That day, we were told not to bring our weapons into the club after the fight, not to have our weapons on our person, to either leave them in our hotel room or to leave them in our vehicles.
Has there ever been a situation where you were told to leave your weapon prior to this?
We were never told prior to September the 7th to leave our weapons anywhere other than the fact if we were going out of the state of California by airplane to a video shoot or on tour, we knew common sensely we couldn't carry a weapon on an airplane. So more than likely we would have left our weapons at that time, but we were never told, there was never a meeting held specifically to tell us to leave our weapons, period. The fight was boom, 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 the fight was over. After the fight, Tupac's and Suge's thing was to go to the back where, Mike's dressing room. So we went backstage. We go backstage and we're waiting on Tyson to come back there. And Pac's back there, he's all excited. His boy just knocked out Selden. 50 blows, he just hit him 50 times. You count him. So, I'm back there with him and everything, and Suge is back there. So Suge says something to Pac, and then the next thing I know, we're leaving. Tyson didn't even make it out the ring to come down. Everyone shows up, and one of Suge's homeboys, his name is Trevon, he comes over and he whispers something in Pac's right ear, because I'm on his left. He whispers something. Next thing I know, Tupac takes off running. He took off running, and I went off running behind him, and when he turned the corner, there was this guy standing there. Little did I know who he was. He ran up to him, and he swung. And then the guy swung back, and then Pac weaved, and then Pac swung again. And at this time, there was like 3 or 4 blows thrown. Tupac had this medallion on that he had recently purchased, and it broke. When it broke, he went down to pick it up. When he went down to pick it up, I grabbed him. When I grabbed him, I threw him against the wall, so I had him out of the fight. At this time, everyone else is running up, as clearly the MGM footage shows. The guy is Orlando Anderson, now that we know who he is. They're into this brawl. And I have Tupac against the wall now at this point. The fight ended, we had to get out of there. Little did I know, earlier, when they had left me, I had already walked all through the MGM. So everybody's taking off, going in the wrong direction. I go, no, shoot, this way, right? And then he's like, no, this way. And I was Suge, I was just here all day. This way. So they followed. And we followed, got our way out, and we took off and walked back over to the Lexor. We get back over to the Lexor. Suge said, hey, I'm going to go up and change. Pac was there, I'm going to go up and change. We'll meet back down in the valet. All right, cool. We're down in the, at this time, we left his room. We're down in the valet park and we're waiting on Suge. Suge shows up. While we're down in the valet, all of the hoochies, all of the groupies, everybody that knew Tupac and Suge was, Suge, can we go to the club? Suge, Pac, can we go? Suge said, let's go. He and Pac was walking to Suge's BMW. I'm walking with them. When we get to the car, Pac turned to me and goes, yo, Frank. He pulled the keys out, he handed me the keys. He goes, drive the little homies because we're gonna be drinking tonight and you'll be able to drive us back. So I was like, what car you want me to drive? He goes, drive Cardada's car. And I didn't even know where the car was. I go, where is it? He goes, it's right there. He goes, the homies will show you where it's at. So I was like, all right. So Suge gets in his car, he and Pac, and the entourage is starting to form now. Suge takes off. I'm right behind him. I'm the bodyguard on point. Theoretically and honestly, there should have been 3 or 4 more bodyguards with us that particular time, going from there, going to Suge's house, and going back to the club that night for the after party. Later on, I found out that with security, that there was 22, about 20 to 22 security personnel for this night. Everyone was called to Club 662 to set up the security and get the people rolling in over there. So all of the security was there. Michael Moore, who was with me earlier that evening, supposed to have met us at the MGM. His story to me was Al Gittins, who was the supervisor now for security at this point, Al Gittins told Michael Moore to fuck that. You go and come to the club. And he was like, well, Tupac told me to come over to the MGM. He was like, no, we need you over here. You get over here. So Mike went over to the club. So I was the only one left with Pac. Keep in mind, my weapon was in my car. I didn't have a phone. I had no way of communication. Reggie was also over at the club. Reggie normally is Suge's bodyguard. And Reggie is always with Suge. That night, why he wasn't with Suge, only Reggie knows that. At this time, everyone in the car, not just me, looked at the gas and was like, yo, Frank, we're gonna run out of gas. I was like, what y'all want me to do, pull over and get gas? I go, you know, if we pull over, we lost them, right? So I said, I can't pull over. I might as well take the chance and run out of gas, right? Thinking we're just gonna go to Suge's and from Suge's back to the club. But the light had been on forever at this point, on the gas light.
How long were you all at Suge's house?
When we got to Suge's house, we were at Suge's house probably a good 30 minutes. Suge went in, he changed clothes, and they were all just BSing a little bit. When Suge finally came out, hopped in his car, when we came through the security guard that guards the homes going into Suge's place, there had to have been 20, 30 cars out on the road just waiting for us to come out to follow us. We leave out of Suge's, again, we're flying 70, 80 miles an hour going back toward Las Vegas Strip. We get back on the Strip at this point, and why the car didn't run out of gas is a miracle right now to me, because it should have. We get back on the Strip, we're proceeding to go down the Strip. It's a fight night, the fight's over. The Strip is jam-packed, crowded. We're probably about in front of the Excalibur Hotel, which is right by Tropicana on Las Vegas Strip. Tupac and Suge was in a car in front of me, and their music was playing pretty loud because we could hear it. And there was bicycle cops. A couple of bicycle cops pulled up, and one of them went over to Suge's side and asked him, I guess, to turn down the music, I'm assuming. And then the next thing I know, Suge opens the door, steps out of the car, he and a cop walks to the back of the car and he opens up the trunk. The car was brand new, didn't have a license plate on it. So he looked in the trunk and I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, oh shit, I hope they don't get popped. He let him go. So now we're still in gridlock traffic. So we proceed to go down the strip. We're going down the strip. Pac and Sugar up there doing their thing, talking. Myself and Outlaws were in there, listening to their music. We get to Flamingo off of Las Vegas Strip. We got to turn right. We make a right off of the strip. The next light is Koval. Little did we know that anything was about to happen. We pull up to the light. I am the second car. Actually, I'm the third car. One of Suge's homeboys was in front of Suge, which never, ever, ever happened with anyone being in front of Suge. Then another one of his homeboys, Trevon, was to the left of Suge, which would have been to his side of the car. So you got Trevon to the left, you have K-Dove in the front, and you have me in the back. And we're sitting at this light. It's September, it's hot, sticky, and we're all just sitting there pretty much just vegging out, waiting on the light to change. Then all of a sudden, I noticed this white Cadillac. Cadillac pulls up, and it was not like a thought of mine that something was about to happen, because in the entourage, as we're proceeding to go to Club 662, women are like, yo, Pac, Suge, and can we go? Groupies and things like that. So it was not anything out of the ordinary for this car to be pulling up, thinking that something's gonna happen. And as soon as the car pulled up, my head turned back and I'm looking and I'm watching the car. Malcolm, who is sitting in the seat behind Yak Fula was in a passenger seat with me up in the front. And Kay Castro, was directly behind me. Before the Cadillac pulled up, we're all just vegging. They're looking out toward the right. Cadillac pulls up, we notice it. And then all of a sudden, this arm comes out. An arm comes out. And he just started firing immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. And all you see and all you hear is they had Suge out of the vehicle on the ground, and as I was approaching him, the blood was shooting up out of his head. So I'm yelling, let him up, he's with us, he was part of the entourage. And when they let him up, Tupac is still sitting in the passenger seat, the door is still closed. So Suge says, I can do it, it's my car, I'll open it. The door was actually stuck. So Suge got over there, opened the door, and we pulled Pac out of the car. When we pulled him out of the car, we lined him down on the side of the car, and I'm kneeling down at this time and I'm talking to him like, Pac, man, Pac. And he's like, he's trying to breathe. And then he goes, I can't breathe.
Las Vegas police never arrested anyone in connection with the cold-blooded murder, even failing to follow up with Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's entourage, who was there that evening, who claimed he could identify the assailant. It seemed too much of a coincidence that 2 months later, Gaddafi was murdered before he could give his damning statement. One theory comes from Russell Poole, a former LAPD detective. He believes that Suge Knight set up Tupac's murder. This might seem unlikely, considering Knight was hit in the shooting, but Detective Poole thinks that he had his own motives for the contract killing. Apparently, Knight owed Tupac a lot of money. Some accounts point up to $10 million. Tupac's mother, Tupac Shakur, backs up the theory, as she sued Death Row Records in 1997 for mishandling her son's funds and withholding millions. Seemingly more proof of this theory comes by way of the fact that Tupac intended to leave Death Row Records, firing his lawyer at the time, David Kenner, who in addition to being Suge Knight's lawyer, also wrote up Tupac's agreement with Death Row Records. Just a week after the lawyer was fired, Knight invited Tupac to the fateful boxing match. Another red flag comes by way of how after the brawl in the MGM lobby, Knight stopped and calmly made a phone call while everyone else fled the scene. His insistence that Tupac should ride in his car after the boxing match cast a heavy shadow too.
I saw no reason why anyone would sit in a vehicle or next to anyone that they would put a hit on someone and be sitting next to them with the bullets flying all through the car like it did that night. Suge was a target as well as Tupac was. I stick by that. I said that in my book. Why would I have put in Rolling Stone magazine or with this detective Poole, as he said I said these things, why would have I told him these things when I didn't even put it in my own book? It would have gone in my book before it would have gone in Rolling Stone magazine. I'm shocked that Rolling Stone magazine would even print something like that without checking secondary source. They could have gotten a hold of me through my publisher. I never said that Suge Knight was one of the shrewdest gangsters. Suge personally never did anything to me. He treated security very well, as I've stated before. There was no beef with anyone in security with Suge Knight.
Do you have an idea why Tupac was killed?
No, I don't.
In Orlando Anderson's initial testimony, he said that Suge Knight was part of the brawl in the lobby, but then after changed his story to say that Suge had tried to stop the fight, stating, "I see him pulling people off me." One theory is that Anderson changed his story because of a payoff by Suge Knight himself. The detective also claimed that the bullet wound Knight received that night was never verified by the hospital, eyewitnesses, or the police. Another theory comes from Chuck Phillips, a former LA Times journalist. He believed that Orlando Anderson, Biggie Smalls, and the Southside Crips gang were responsible for the murder. The LA Times investigated the murder for over a year and came up with the following findings. The Crips retaliated against the beating of Anderson by shooting Tupac. Anderson was the shooter. Biggie Smalls paid $1 million for the supplied gun and murder of Tupac. Biggie's motive for wanting Tupac dead? His year-long feud was well documented. He claimed and hit him up that he had slept with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife, was reason enough. According to the investigation journalist, Biggie, nor anyone who was affiliated with him, was not questioned by the police. 6 months later, in March 1997, Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls, was fatally shot in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles by an unknown assailant. With Orlando Anderson shot to death in May 1998, another avenue of investigation closed, though he had always denied responsibility for Tupac's death, and it was never charged. A different theory was proposed by Greg Kading, a former LAPD detective assigned to the case in 2006, 10 years after the event. Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, the CEO of East Coast Bad Boy Records, was whom he held responsible for orchestrating Tupac's death. Detective Kading met with Crips gang member Keith Davis to confess on tape that P. Diddy paid him $1 million to carry out the murder of Tupac and Suge Knight. He also admitted that Orlando Anderson, who was in fact Davis' nephew, was the one who pulled the trigger. He also admitted to being in Anderson's car at the time of the murder. To quote Davis, Orlando rolled down the window and popped him. If they would have drove on my side, I would have popped him. Davis said that the motive for Diddy was fear and paranoia, as Suge Knight would strike first. He also said that Tupac was only included in the hit because P. Diddy was furious about his diss track, Hit 'Em Up. Because of the shooting in 1994 and the aftermath, when Tupac repeatedly stated that he suspected Diddy to be the perpetrator of the incident, also helped ground this theory. In 2011, Dexter Isaac, who was serving life in prison, confessed that a P. Diddy associate hired him to rob Tupac that night. P. Diddy has repeatedly denied the claim, stating, "This story is pure fiction and completely ridiculous." The case remains unsolved, with most of the major players now either dead or serving lengthy prison sentences. It seems unlikely that the actual circumstances of Tupac's murder will ever be conclusively proved in court, but it won't stop people from looking for answers. Tupac had a prophecy about his death, stating, "That's why I go in the studio and do 3 songs a day, get things ready. If I die, it can't happen. If anything were to happen to me, the album's ready to go," believing that his death would be a tragedy. He envisioned it being like something from a Shakespeare play.
You know, out of the love for black people. So that's how I gotta live, and that's how I have to die. And that's how my music has to be, and my acting, and my producing, and my interviews, everything has to be for the love of black people.
The first line, say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots. I give all to my sister's own welfare. Tupac kids, and don't nobody else care. I think it's time we kill for our women, time to heal our women. Be real to our women. Because if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So we're the real G's. Get up. I know you fed up, ladies. Keep your head up.
Tupac elevated rap from a crude street fad to a complex art form. A poet whose tales of urban alienation captivated young people of all races and backgrounds. He knew from the very beginning that he had a very short window to live and that he wanted to create a body of work. He was constantly producing, constantly writing, constantly in a recording studio. Even in prison, he was writing a screenplay. Knowing that he would not be on this earth for any length of time, he came with a specific purpose. Contradictions, complexities, and all. And he left behind something that has touched a generation of people.
Hip-hop needs to stay true to the streets. Rap could do whatever it got to do to make money, just stay alive. But hip-hop got to stay true to the streets. Keep your head up, you know, don't give up. I'm still listening. As a matter of fact, my mother was in a book. There's a book about my mother called Look for Me in the Whirlwind. And I like to think that's my motto.